In today's video, we're going to discuss how to flatten your ball flight with the driver when you really want to hit that low bullet into the wind. Make sure you check out this video. Might have gone, actually, on the money. I'm glad I didn't say too much there. I felt like I might have leaked a little right, but I hit a little draw. Jon Watts here from the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me in my indoor studio, and today's video, as I mentioned there in the intro, is all going to be about flattening the flight to your driver. So when we really want to hit that low run, it might be the course you're playing on, a link style course, or it may just be the wind blowing into you, where we want to hit that lower flighted driver. I'm going to talk you through some simple steps to be able to hit that shot. If you do enjoy the content, if you find this video useful, please hit the thumbs up, share it with as many golfers as you can, and of course consider subscribing. At least 2 instructional videos a week, all for free. Check out my YouTube channel. The link is just below, as is for my social media channels. So flattening the flight of the driver, and I've got quite a high lofted drive here because I tend to hit the ball relatively low anyway, so this is actually 12 degree. I've experimented over years with 10.5 to 12, but I'm generally a high lofted driver, and I've always created a relatively low spin, which of course is pretty good when you're playing into the wind. What we want to do is make sure that we lower the launch, but also lower that spin. So what a lot of golfers are doing when they're trying to hit it low is they just tee it low, they strike the ball low out the head, they get a low launch, but they get a high spin, and that's because the center of the ball will always try and spin towards the center of the golf club. So if we hit the ball below the center of the golf club, yes, we're going to de-loft the golf club dynamically, so we're going to take some loft off, but that ball's going to be increasing in spin, and that's going to get that ball ballooning into the wind and rubbish for distance, especially when we're talking about hitting that ball lower. So when we're hitting it flat or when we're hitting it low, we still want to try and get that ball out the middle or above center, if anything, to help lower that spin rate. Now, there are a couple of simple steps we're going to talk through here. We can lower that tee height just a little, but what we don't want to do is lower that tee height and of course lean back, because that's going to mean that we strike the ball out the bottom of the golf club and we add a lot of dynamic loft onto the golf club. So although my driver's got 12 degrees of actual loft, it's the dynamic loft that matters, what we actually hit it with at impact, that's going to have, of course, have some effect there on the launch and the spin. What we want to try and get that feeling of is that we are covering the ball into impact. So I've teed the ball a little lower than I'd normally do, so generally get 3/4, maybe even the full ball above the top of the club for me, because I generally hit up on the ball by 3.5 or so degrees. So I've teed that ball a little lower, half the ball above the club. You could drop it down just a touch further, but I'm going to get the sensation that I'm covering the ball at impact with my chest. I want to almost feel like I'm more over the top of the golf ball, whereas with a drive in your hands, we're more likely at impact normally to be slightly behind it with our upper body. Okay, so our lower body may be more in line, but our upper body a little bit more tilted back. We're going to get the sensation here to the low one that my chest is more over the top of the golf ball. My shoulders will feel like they are more level. The other things that's going to help is me to allow my hands to be leading the golf club a little bit more, again, to take some loft off the golf club. Now, the downside to this is when we're trying to hit the low one, we tend to leak the ball out right of target for a right-handed golfer, left for a left-hander. So we tend to leave that face more open, which of course is no good for the loft factor and increasing the spin. So we've got to work a little bit harder with the face angle. What I'm doing, a couple of simple steps, hit that ball lower into the wind. I've teed the ball a touch lower. I'm going to drop the ball just a little bit further back in my stance. I'd normally play it left heel. I'm just going to go another ball's width or so further back from that. I'm still going to start with my pressure relatively even. You know, with a driver, you may, on a normal shot when you're trying it up on it, may start even 55, 60 onto your trail side. I'm going to start a little bit more even, a little bit more 50-50. I'm going to make a normal backswing where I do feel my pressure move into my trail side, but at impact, I'm really just going to try and get that sensation that I'm covering the golf ball with my upper body more over the top of the golf ball here. And a great drill to help that can just be putting the club under your lead arm, and with your trail hand, I've done this before, put the club shaft at the back of your trail hand. And what we're almost going to get the sensation, so it looks something along these lines, we're going to try and get the feeling that we slap the ball with our trail hand. So for me, my right hand is over the top of the golf ball here. If I'm way behind the ball, of course, in this way, I can't really get my hand to the ball. So from my visual point of view, I'm trying to get my hand over the top of the ball, and you'll see there that is covering the golf ball with my chest. I feel very much over the top of it, the same way you would do if you were playing football and you were trying to hit that ball low, getting more over the top of it. So I've dropped the ball a touch further back, I've teed it a little lower, and at impact I'm going to get that sensation of covering the ball. As I mentioned there, the only downside is we're more likely to leak this right to target. So for me, I have to work a little bit harder. I want to almost feel like the club face is pointing a little bit more downwards in that takeaway movement, not allowing that toe to actually open up as much. And I have to really feel like I work hard through the golf ball. Try it on a driving range. This is the thing, you know, go on a driving range, go on a practice area, hit the shots, see where the pattern is. For me, when I'm doing it, hit that low one, I'm probably leaking about 20 yards right to target, and that's why I make these changes. Now, the reason we tend to leak the ball more right is we've dropped the ball a bit further back, we've got a little bit more over the top of the golf ball, we're hitting a bit more down on the ball. We find it hard to square the face, so it tends to come through a little open. So I'm gonna just get that sensation that I keep the club face a little bit more turned down towards the golf ball in that first movement, because I'm more likely to leave the face open, and I'm going to work really hard on that rotation through. Let's give it a whirl. Might have gone, actually, on the money. I'm glad I didn't say too much there. I felt like I might have leaked a little right, but I hit a little draw onto target. Very, very happy with that. Let's have just a quick peek at the numbers. I'll do a screenshot to come up here on the screen as well. So as we look at that, I've hit down on the golf ball by 1 degree. So I've created a downward angle of attack, but I've managed to take the dynamic loft off the golf club. So remember, mine's 12 degrees. Now, impact, we're generally adding loft to a driver. I've managed to actually de-loft it to 10.4, so I've taken 1.6 degrees of loft off this driver head, and that's really good going, because a normal shot for me, I'm coming through with about a dynamic loft of 15, 16, so compared to my stock shot, it's a good 6 degrees lower in loft than I'd normally hit it with, and that meant I kept that spin rate down to just under 2,400, and that's a good number again. I hit a very straight ball flight, 1 degree right with a tiny little draw, so a lovely flight. Annoyingly, it hasn't picked up all dots on the head, so we haven't seen strike location, but trust me, I cannot hit that shot from hitting it flat low out the head. So that strike felt very middle. If anything, would be a little bit higher than center. I tend to hit the ball a little bit high, a little bit toey, if anything, which is pretty good when we're trying to hit that flatter, lower ball flight. So I hit down on it, yes, but I de-lofted the golf club, which is the important thing. Let's just try one more drive. Same sensation. Remember, the reason you're doing this is generally when we're trying to hit flat into the wind, get that ball to run and roll a little bit more. It will lose you a touch of carry from what you're used to, but you should gain a bit of run as long as the fairways are receptive enough to that, you know, i.e. not soaking wet. So I've teed that ball a little lower. This one's even a touch lower than the last. I've dropped that ball a little bit further back in my stance, and I'm going to feel like I'm a little bit more even with my pressure. The technical things I'm going to do is feel like I shut the face just a little bit more, because the temptation for me, and I find most golfers, is to leak the ball out right to target of a right-handed golfer, leaving the face open. So I'm going to feel like I keep the face pointed down a little bit more, and I'm going to cover the ball at impact with my chest, okay? So club face pointing more down, cover the ball. Leaked it just a touch right to target, not far off. Definitely not as good. We're going to look at it still. Not as good in numbers as the last one. I saw the ball spinning more. So I think the numbers are going to tell me that. Let's have a quick peek at it. Again, I'll bring up the data on the screen just a little bit clearer for you. Hit down on the ball more. And it's a shame it's only picking up the 1 dot there, because that strike will definitely have been lower out the head. I hit down on the ball by 4.7 degrees. It was a lower tee and I think I compensated for that, hit down on the ball more. I did a great job of taking the loft off the face. So 8.6 degrees of dynamic loft. So I took the loft off, but some of that may have been the strike being lower out the head. Because it was teed lower, interestingly enough, I actually swung out to in, not in to out. And I do find that happens for me. So completely off topic, but if I'm trying to hit a fade, I tend to tee it lower, because it encourages me to swing a little bit more out to in. If I want to hit more of a draw, I'll tend to tee it higher. It encourages my path to be more in to out. That was a lower tee and I swung out to in, so it stands true. But the reason that wasn't as good, it wasn't miles off target, it'd find the fairway, but it had 3,800 spin rather than the first one, what was it, 2.4. So that spin rate's going to make a massive difference to the amount of roll and release we get out of it. As I said, the key points we're making there, tee a little lower, perhaps, move the ball just a touch further back in your stance, definitely impact, get that feeling of covering the ball. Doing that drill with the shaft at the back of your trail hand is a really good one to get that sensation of covering it. As I said, the temptation for most golfers I see when I'm asking them to do this is they tend to leak the ball outright for a right-handed golfer, leaving the face open. So they have to work a little bit harder with that face angle, and that may be strengthen the grip. For me, it's feeling like I shut the face a little bit more and then really work hard through the golf ball. Give it a go in practice first, of course. Don't take it straight to the golf course, but it could really help you next time you're playing in those strong winds or those links courses where you want to hit that flat flight. As I mentioned at the start, if this video has helped, please hit the thumbs up, share it with as many golfers as you can, and don't forget to subscribe.